Hello, everybody. I get a lot of questions about care tips for Euphyllia species such as Frogspawn, hammers, torches, which is what I have in this tank. Um, so today I'm going to do a little short video on that and get started with what I currently have. As you can see, I have some SPS right there, sticks, aka acros. I got a sponge gourd there with some stuff. I got a bird's nest around the corner, right there on the back end. And those seem to do all right in this tank. I can't keep any other kind. I mean, I've had issues with Montes and different things, except for that one right there, which is a Digi. Mostly LPS does real well in this tank. So I'm going to talk about that a little bit today, and what works for me and what works in this tank, and hopefully other people will have some success as well. All right, so first off, I have this pearl bubble, which is sitting right here, and I got several different kinds of torches, as you can see. That's a dragon soul there. That's just a standard Indo species right there. Cotton candy, Aussie gold, different ones. This one, I don't even know what, it's some kind of, it says orange tips, kind of hard to see with the camera, but we just got video bombed there by the flame angel. But anyway, so we're going to get started in what I keep my water at. Okay, right now we're down in the basement, and I know you guys have seen videos. This is where I mix my salt water. It's my RO unit. Alright, the reason I'm down here is I want to show you guys. Okay, first off, I do a 10% water change. I have a 200-gallon tank, so I do a 20-gallon water change once a week, every Saturday, like clockwork. I don't miss. I use Coral Pro salt, which makes a big difference in your tank. I highly recommend this salt. I've been using it in the 10 plus years I've been doing saltwater tanks. As you can tell, when you mix it, and I mix my salt water to 1.025, so when you mix it, it mixes high. You can see where, you see how the alkalinity KH, how that's high, magnesium, calcium, 450, 465, depending on what you mix it to. So it mixes high automatically. So therefore, to me, in my opinion, in my tank, it reduces the need to add a lot of trace minerals. It reduces the need to add a lot of alkalinity, calcium, and stuff like that to keep your calcium up. Okay, and so that's the to me, that's worth it, because, a lot of times when you use, and everybody's different, everybody has different opinions, but when you use other kind of salts like Instant Ocean, different things like that, where you have to add a lot of extra, two-part dosing and that kind of stuff to maintain adequate calcium and alkalinity levels, that can be costly. So even though Coral Pro salt is probably one of the more expensive salt mixes, to me, it pays for itself without having to buy a whole bunch of supplements and stuff to add to my tank. Okay, now that we're back upstairs. All right, so I keep my calcium is usually around 440 to 450, somewhere in there. Alkalinity is stable around 10. I keep it around 10. 9.5 to 10, but I shoot for 10. And I'm not a big believer just yet. I'm not sold on them on automatic dosing pumps. So what I do is every night I'll add, and it took some math and quite a while to figure it out, but I'll take, I like this ESV bionic calcium, 2-part calcium and alkalinity. So I just simply, I have a cup, take, what works for my tank, because of the Coral Pro salt, again, it mixes high. So high with, as far as calcium, alkalinity, and all that. So I'll 10 milliliters, which is that bottom one there that's marked 10 milliliters of alkalinity. Let it I dump it right in front of a power head, let it go for about 5-10 minutes. Then I take and add part 2, which is the calcium, and I do 10 milliliters of that. When you do it manually, you want to make sure, you always want to do, in my opinion, so some people mess around, whatever, but to me it gets out of balance when you do that. And I've done it, and I've made mistakes too, learning early on. So it's very important to mix the exact amount for each. So if you do 10 milliliters, do 10 milliliters of part 1, 10 milliliters of part 2. And so I do mine at night, every night except for Saturday night, because Saturday is when I do the water change. So my alkalinity will automatically be high, or be where it needs to be on Saturday. So I don't add it Saturday night. But I do it every night but Saturday night, so 6 nights a week. And then every night, 7 nights a week. I particularly like this Red Sea no-pox, which I do like it. I feed twice a day. I have 19 fish in my tank. I feed twice a day. Several big fish. So I add this one. I do with the no-pox. I do I do 20 milliliters per the Red Sea chart. I do 20 milliliters every night. Throw that in front of a power head. So that's all I do. It takes several months, but my nitrates are always stay around 5 parts per million, sometimes less, sometimes 3, 2. It's good to have some nitrates in your tank. I definitely don't shoot for a 0 nutrient tank. It doesn't stop cyanobacteria. You can see I do get that from time to time. It comes in on stuff, it happens. I mean, I'm not embarrassed. It just is what it is. Unfortunately, I'm a big believer in, the ChemiClean and stuff to remove cyano, but when you have the more expensive coral you have, it's kind of risky. So if it gets to be where it's smothering coral and stuff like that, which it doesn't happen too often in my tank. So, but if it gets to, if it's in the sand, whatever, I don't care. But if it gets to really bad, then yeah, I'll use it. But you got to remember that it is kind of tough on. It can be tough on some coral. So you want to be, just, not that I've lost anything from it. I'm just, a little more hesitant when it comes to more expensive corals. Which, as we all know, the price of Euphilia has gone through the roof. So, and which is unfortunate. So that's really all my maintenance plan goes, and what I've discovered, the one big takeaway that I've discovered over the years with keeping many different kinds of Euphilia and having different success in growing Euphilia. I don't want to just maintain Euphilia, you want to grow Euphilia. That's when things are going good in your tank. One of the things I've learned is that torches especially, they like a steady alkalinity. They like alkalinity around 9.5, 10, somewhere in there. Higher alkalinity is what they like. They're not tolerant of big fluctuations. So if, like back in the day, I've lost some nice torch pieces, several years ago, to not using 2-part, not dosing. And so my alkalinity then, as stuff starts using calcium and alkalinity, it starts to drop throughout the week between water changes. So unfortunately, when that would happen, it takes a toll on torches. A lot of torch species don't like that. And so I was losing some torches, and once I finally figured out, after testing your water quality and wondering, nothing was eating them, they just would bail out, have polyp bail out. So I discovered that it was because I wasn't keeping a steady, alkalinity. The key is with alkalinity is just pick a number and stay with it. Your alkalinity needs to be stable. That's the key, is stability. And no matter what kind of, parameters you're talking about in your fish tank is stability. And I don't test, phosphates and nitrates, and I don't do all that. Alkalinity I'll check once a week. Every couple of weeks I'll check calcium, but that's about it. Just to make sure, You know, that part's important, especially if you add coral. You know, you want to check it, because then your measurement, you may have to adjust how much alkalinity you do need to add. But 10 milliliters, it doesn't sound like a lot, because if you read the packaging on a lot of 2-part, it's going to tell you, oh, 50 milliliters, 100 milliliters, you know, a day and all this. Every tank is different, so you're going to have to do some math and just figure it out. Start low, always start low, and you want to bring up, when you bring up alkalinity, if you find your alkalinity low, when you bring it up, you always want to do it slow. You don't want to make a big jump. So you want to do it slow over several days, you know, but always start low, check it, check it the next, put some in, check it the next day, put a little bit more in, you know, to get where, you know, where you want to be. You know, maybe eventually I'll go to a dosing system, which I do think would probably be obviously more convenient. Especially when you go on vacation and whatever, because when you go on vacation, I'd have to have my mother-in-law, I have to lay it out for her so she can, she doesn't know much about saltwater aquariums, so she can just put some in here and there, but it won't be an everyday thing and all that. But it shouldn't be a problem, if you're only gone a week or whatever. So, so that's basically the gist of it there. I mean, as far as what I do with my tank, if anybody has any questions or anything, feel free to message me. I'll be happy to answer any questions anybody has. So that has been what's been successful to me. And as you've seen in other videos, other kinds of corals, I mean, elegance, stuff like that, I can't keep, because the big angelfish he eats those like it's candy. So, you got to have certain stuff that he won't touch. So that's the deal there. And other than that, that's about it. So if anybody has any questions, please let me know. I hope this helps anybody that's kind of on the fence about getting torch corals, or has questions about alkalinity. Again, it's just simply, it's at first it was kind of difficult. Like, it was kind of confusing. I had to read a lot and learn a lot about, the chemistry of alkalinity and calcium and how they interact in an aquarium and stuff like that. And but once you get it down, again, I find it more economical to use a higher quality salt mix, such as Coral Pro. I've been, like I said, I've never used anything but Coral Pro in the 10 years I've been, because when I first started, the local fish store that I went to by my house, that was before I made salt water, they used Coral Pro. So I buy my salt water from them, and so once I started making my own, I obviously kept with Coral Pro, because if it's working, what I've learned is if it's not broke, don't fix it. And that's what goes for an aquarium, So, hope that helps everybody, and thanks for watching. If you like my video, subscribe, or send it to somebody who can subscribe, or whatever. We can all help each other out. Thanks, everybody. Happy reefing, and have a good rest of your Sunday.